Hello everyone, welcome to What If Naruto Was in Jujutsu Kaisen Part 3. Before we start, please go support NaruErza for writing that awesome fanfic. Now let's begin. This is the translated version I made. There will be some wrong he or she calling here because it's translated, so let me clear this. Naruto is a male in this story. Chapter 19. One day later. Unknown place. The situation was quite turbulent. Curse rates had skyrocketed, leaving a situation similar to the Heian era, the golden age of curse techniques. 23 cities lay almost destroyed. Safe places were really few, counted on the fingers of the hands. The municipalities of Akutama, the city of Aum, Akaruno, Hachioji, Machida, and some islands that were lucky. The last analysis had resulted in the devastating figure of 10 million cursed spirits on the loose. The sorcerers used all their energy, but it was something too great, almost escaping human hands. A political vacuum was beginning to emerge. And with that, its economy would also begin to decline, collapsing the yen, the Japanese currency. But the power vacuum of such magnitude, it was only a matter of time before foreign military intervention appeared. And that could trigger a world war never before seen in the world of sorcery. That place was almost in darkness, being illuminated by fleeting lit candles. It wasn't just any room, it was a huge room, a place where most of the current events in the world of witchcraft took place. The meeting place of the world's big shots. Those blinded greedy old men who only spread hatred and disgust throughout the land. Those who decided what was right and wrong, playing at being gods. The board made up of dozens of luxurious seats placed in a U-shape in an attempt to intimidate, thanks to their size, the person who would have to stand in the middle. An architectural model that is quite recurrent in government powers around the world. Just imagine standing in the center being surrounded by dozens of men and women watching you sitting meters from above. It made you feel intimidated, like a small calf facing a pack. However, there were very small cases where the breeding well. The Goho clan has lost its status in the world of sorcery. A rather important discussion for sorcery was taking place in the place. With Satoru Goho sealed, the world had changed drastically. The mere presence of the strongest sorcerer caused the evils of the world to hide in the shadows. Assassins, corrupt politicians, mercenaries, curses, etc. And with him off the field, the shadows emerge from his lethargy. There is nothing of value in that clan anymore, only weaklings remain. You propose to eliminate the Goho clan from the great families of Jujutsu. Currently even the tiny ones of the Inunaki clan are more powerful. Throughout history, families have come and gone. The most recent case dates back to the Uzumaki clan, expelled from the great clans 100 years ago. Another family expelled will be nothing. Currently the Goho, Kamo, and Zenin were known as the three great clans within the world of Jujutsu. However, decades ago there were four families. The Uzumaki. The clan had reached that position thanks to its peculiar territorial expansion. Unlike other sorcerers, the Uzumaki's expansion was internal, giving its members innate abilities, such as extra limbs, superior physical strength, infrared vision, 360-degree vision, and the list went on. However, an accident 100 years ago wiped out the clan, causing it to leave the four great clans. But that idiot sealed, our hands will no longer be so tied, exclaimed one of the elders, referring to Satoru. And boy, they had taken advantage of it. In just one day after the Shibuya incident, the higher-ups took advantage of Satoru's absence. Suguru Jetu was once again sentenced to death. Satoru Goho was expelled from the world of Jujutsu as he was considered an accomplice to the incident in Shibuya. Even removing the seal from him would be considered a criminal act. With that vile move, they had protected themselves from the being called Satoru Goho, removing him from the game forever. And with him alive, but locked up, another sorcerer with 6 eyes and the infinity technique will not be born again. Asamichi Yaga would receive the death penalty, blaming him for inciting Satoru and Suguru of the Shibuya incident. Getting rid of another problem kid. Without Satoru, all the people protected by him were now vulnerable. Just like Itadori, whose death sentence suspension was revoked. It was not possible to know for sure how many people Satoru had helped in all these years, ranging from Itadori, Megumi, Yuta, Hikari. Even people outside of Japan could be in danger due to the absence of this sorcerer. The Shibuya incident had benefited senior officials by allowing them to get rid of annoying stones in their path. Nobody could stop them anymore. So, everyone in favor of eliminating the Goho clan from the three great clans? A woman asked comfortably from her seat. So, are you all in favor of eliminating the Goho clan from the three great clans? A woman asked comfortably from her seat. Outside at the same time. The situation around the entire complex seemed to imitate that of an action movie. Those scenes done only by protagonists or main villains where they faced dozens of enemies and came out without a scratch. I think we went a little overboard. Well, you really. The female figure had spoken at the same time she stopped to appreciate the mess they had made with her partner. The patch on the girl's face did not hide her beauty. The Barakujasaki, first-year student. Rank 3 sorceress. Not receiving an answer, she turned around watching her partner enter the building without any concern. "Naruto, you bastard, don't leave me talking to myself," the girl cursed, sheathing her hammer and her belt around her waist. Nobara walked to sit on the first steps of the stairs, waiting for what would happen inside her. The world was already going to hell, so would anything happen if they attacked the complex where Jujutsu's top brass resided? Attack wasn't the right word, was it? Nobara took out a small sweet raspberry flavor from her pockets and put it in her mouth. Months ago, when she was just starting the school year, she wasn't one to eat junk. But so many trips to the shopping, shared workouts, and spending time with Naruto had caused her to start eating sweets. No one blamed her, even Maki ate sweets thanks to Naruto. Speaking of the sorcerer, Nobara only shook his head gently. The pair shouldn't be in that place, but rather be looking for the third-year student named Hikari, or something like that. The guy who, in Naruto's words, was strong. Making him a great ally for the wargame Jetsu had planned. "For the higher-ups, they don't have good security," said Nobara, enjoying the sweetness of her observing what Naruto had caused a few minutes ago. In front of her, scattered throughout the property, dozens of unconscious bodies could be seen scattered everywhere. Some embedded in the walls, others in the ceiling, and others in the floor. 17 first-grade sorcerers. 32nd grade sorcerers. 23rd grade sorcerers. All of them unconscious. The words spoken by Naruto had been clear and concise. "Nu-chan, with Goho sealed, the higher-ups will walk around thinking that no one is in their way. I'm just going to remind you that I'm still here." Nobara bit into the candy, letting the flavor spread throughout her mouth. Council of High Command. The candlelight suddenly lost some oxygen, weakening their light. "The Goho family will be expelled from the 3 great clans. All your belongings between properties, cursed tools, and economic power will be given to us or distributed between the 2 remaining clans, Zenin or Kamo." Do you think they will protest? And what can they do? Without Satoru Goho, the new leader will be a little sheep who is easy to manipulate. Without him, it's just a clan of servants and maids. The majority of the entire council agreed. They know very well that in a fight against us they have the chance to lose badly. We have the support of the Zenin clan and the Kamo clan. They can only say thank you for how benevolent we are. They should kneel and thank us like a dog to its master. Whyish. A soft breeze swept through the entire council, extinguishing the candles one by one, leaving that place in darkness. The front door began to slowly open with a creak, capturing the attention of all the people present. The lights from outside soon illuminated the entire room. The shadow of a figure was projected on the ground, beginning to enter, letting its steps echo among all the silence. Wow. At the same time, the candles were lit again, illuminating the entire room. Ha he ho ho he. A small sarcastic laugh was heard from the new guest passing through the entrance. And I thought my jokes were bad. The subject who had entered was taller than the average Japanese, measuring about 1.83 centimeters. His blonde hair was as always, neither too long nor too short. 2 earrings in each ear, and his classic and distinctive Jujutsu uniform as always. However, something new about him were the sunglasses on his face, very similar to the ones Satoru Goho wore in his adolescence. "Uzumaki Naruto, shouldn't you be exterminating the horde of millions of curses in Japan?" The aforementioned only inflated the gum in his mouth, making a balloon, starting to anger those present. "They already know me well. I don't follow anyone's orders. Brad, I'm starting to get tired of your insolence." Naruto just raised his shoulders in a gesture of not caring much about that. "Wait a second," the blonde asked, starting to dig through his pockets. "Let me write it in my invisible notebook of important things." Boom. The person slammed his desk hard and stood up. "You insolent brat, do you even know who we are? Show respect to your superiors." Little by little, the room filled with shouts, requests, and insults towards the boy at the center of everything, who only yawned. "Shut up." Naruto's voice opaque to the crowd. The glasses were slightly drooping, barely allowing the boy's sapphire eyes to be seen. And at that moment, his gaze was serious. "Disgusting pigs," Naruto muttered, leaving the entire room in shock and completely silent. His mind had short-circuited upon hearing the boy's insult. Had he really called them that way? They've been at ease these days, right? Naruto smiled, popping the balloon in his mouth. "I just came to give you a warning. From today, and from now on, everything that was under the protection of Satoru Goho passes into my care." The grinding of teeth began to be heard throughout the room, increasing Naruto's smile. "That also implies that Itadori Yuji is under my protection. Whoever gets in his way, he will deal with me. I heard that they revoked his death sentence, so I like to see who they sent to fight me." The blonde walked slowly, making a complete turn in place, observing everyone's expressions. "The Goho clan will also be under my protection. They are forgetting about distributing their assets, properties, and other things that do not interest me." The droplet spilled the glass. Dozens of men and women rose from their seats shouting curses. His teeth clenching with such fervor that they seemed to gain cracks in them. The nails began to scratch the wood of their desks, tearing off pieces of it, leaving small reliefs. Who the hell do you think you, brat? Naruto lowered his head, hiding his gaze in his strands of hair. Who am I? He exclaimed, almost smiling mockingly. Many of you seem to have forgotten my full name. Like a bucket of cold water falling on them, the expressions of the older people present began to transform, little by little. I will do well to remind them. Uzumaki Kushina had been the boy's mother, leaving him her last name. The surname of a clan that was disparaged by that accident 100 years ago. And his father, Minato. The sorcerer looked up from him, revealing blue eyes that shone like two stars in the sky. Naruto Uzumaki Goho Satoru Goho's nephew. Everyone gulped as the sorcerer expelled the enormous aura from him. And without him I am the legitimate heir of the clan. With Goho Satoru out of the picture, the most powerful sorcerer currently was him. Naruto Uzumaki Goho. Chapter 20. Somewhere in Japan. The sun was at its highest, marking noon. The cicadas sang their melody warning of the imminent heat that would come. For anyone who practiced mountaineering or simply liked photography, that place was the place. A space in the mountains far from society. Animals, plants, and a beautiful view. In a lotus flower pose, a female figure meditated. Due to her training, she was wearing black cloth pants, which were ideal for stretching. Covering her upper body, a white t-shirt with straps. Even the patch on her eye did not hide the beauty of her face. Her brow furrowed at the calm in the air. How long would I do this? I'm tired of this. I want to go kick his curse's ass or get out of this place. Fujisaki Nobara, first-year sorceress of the Jujutsu school. The girl leaned her back against the ground and stared at the sky. How many more days do you have to train? I'm already bored of this, Nobara exclaimed, giving a tired sigh. She could be shopping for fashionable clothes or something like that. Something difficult really, considering that Japan was now in chaos due to the horde of curses. It had already been 2 weeks since her departure in search of Hikari, the third-year student. And 3 weeks since Jetsu had used the Uzumaki spell to weaken Tenjin's barrier, beginning a new era of curses, like in ancient times. You have to train because you are weak, Nu-chan. That mocking voice made Nobara frown. What did you say? The girl questioned, standing up quickly while she pulled the hammer out of her. Nobara gained an angry expression at the sarcastic laughter she got in response. It wasn't me who had half of my face exploded. Fush. The girl, with a movement that would put most baseball players to shame, threw the hammer at the head of the person she was laughing at. Don't worry, you'll get gray hair, Nu-chan. The other person present was a man. His head was tilted slightly to the right as he dodged his partner's weapon. Like his companion, the boy had training clothes with him. Well, just a pair of pants, since his torso was exposed. Dark round sunglasses hid his blue eyes, similar to those of his uncle, Goho Satoru. Naruto imitated Nobara being in the same lotus position, however, with a small difference. The sorcerer's legs did not touch the ground. Sweat ran down the boy's body as he struggled to stay in the air, using only the strength of his thumbs. We should be looking for the idiot third year, Nobara said with an annoyed snort. She was already tired of seeing so much nature. That only reminded him of her old life in that little town far from the city. Tahaka-chan. Fush. Naruto left his position by jumping up. If that one, whatever. Japan is in chaos, said Nobara, remembering how many curses they had encountered from school to this place. We should be looking for that fool and go to the games that crazy man with the air of a Frenton monk is doing. The girl gulped at the serious look that came over Naruto's face, slightly hidden by his sunglasses. There were few occasions where she had seen him with that expression. They could barely be counted on the fingers of her hands. The first time had been when on one of her trips to the shopping, a boy spilled his ice cream on Naruto's shirt, specifically, staining Yusa-chan, the rabbit with a printed eye patch. And are you ready for that? Naruto asked as he pointed to his head. In your last fight you didn't come out very well. If it wasn't for Yuta, you would be dead. She took me by surprise, otherwise I wouldn't pass again. There will be people more powerful than Mahito, I'm sure. There will be guys with curse techniques unknown even to me. Nobara acquired a serious look. We are sorcerers. Death surrounds us with it, the girl said, closing her eyelid, beginning to stretch the muscles in her legs, with it. Even you, the current strongest sorcerer, could die, she finished saying, leaning forward about to touch the tips of her feet with her fingers. Nobara quickly opened her eyelid as she felt a presence behind her. Believe me, I know that very well, Naruto exclaimed behind the girl. The sorcerer's warm breath hit the back of the girl's neck, causing a slight but pleasant shiver. I know very well that death surrounds you common sorcerers, but Naruto expressed, resting his knee on the girl's back, helping her stretch. That will be you. Killing me will be difficult, he whispered in the girl's ear. Nobara began to gain an intense blush on her face. Nobody could blame her. The boy she had feelings for stood behind her while she whispered in his ear. Without forgetting that she was a teenage girl with raging hormones. Especially after my fight with Sukuna, Naruto mentioned, smiling sideways. That fight has awakened a potential that was dormant. You already know. Something that people see and feel about to die. In other words, I now have another ace up my sleeve, she said, keeping her new power a secret. Nobara let out a small moan at her already somewhat painful stretching position. Naruto removed his knee from the girl's back, letting her rest. "May I know what it is?" Nobara asked, looking askance at the blonde. Both gazes met in a duel. "No," Naruto said, dragging the last syllable. "Oh? Bastard, why not?" Nobara questioned, turning around quickly. "Serious mistake." The girl's blush only intensified even more. Now their faces were inches apart with their noses about to touch. And the lips at too close a distance that could be cut by a simple approach. "Why not?" Naruto responded, giving the typical mother's response to a request. "But if you want to know so much, I can tell you something, it's more of a theory of mine." Nobara shifted her gaze to the sorcerer's lips. So close and so far at the same time. Would they taste sweet because of all the treats Naruto consumed? "My uncle's name is Satoru Gojo, my father's younger brother," she revealed, causing surprise to color Nobara's face. "And my mother, Kushina Uzumaki. I'm half Gojo, half Uzumaki." The girl looked at those beautiful sapphire eyes hidden behind the sunglasses. Now that she mentioned her lineage, he noticed that similarity in her eyes and in her gaze. Satoru Gojo and Uzumaki Naruto had the same look and at the same time, different eyes, but so similar at the same time. As if they will complement each other. While Satoru had a blue color similar to the sky, Naruto had a navy blue that was reminiscent of the ocean. One represented the sky and the other the earth. Up and down. Two sides of the same ideal. A fact. A dream. An idea. Something that only Naruto and Satoru knew or saw as they were the strongest. "I am certain that the 6 eyes of the Gojo clan mixed with the particular territorial expansion of the Uzumaki clan, giving rise to my power to see the future," Naruto explained as he pointed to what lay behind his glasses. "Now that you mention your clan," Nobara said, receiving a nod for her to continue. "Unlike other sorcerers, the Uzumaki's territorial expansion occurs internally, however, they also possess Gojo blood. Couldn't you have 2 expansions of territories?" She asked with a doubtful expression. "One normal like the rest of the sorcerers and another internal to the Uzumaki." Naruto only responded with a foxy smile. "Now that you mention it, so much nature has already made me fed up," the sorcerer exclaimed, changing the subject while he looked around him. "Bastard, don't change the subject." Naruto smiled simply to lick Nobara's nose as she giggled. "What are you doing, idiot?" The girl shouted, cleaning the licked area while she tried to hide her immense blush. "Training is over, Nu-chan," she exclaimed, taking a candy out of her pants. "We have to go for Haka-chan." Nobara gave a sigh at that. What does fate have in store for her if she continues to team up with Naruto? Chapter 21. Several days later. Tochigi Prefecture. Nobara, with her eyelid closed, tried to avoid the small blush on her cheeks. Something she achieved efficiently by having her back turned to the sorcerer. Naruto, behind Nu-chan, gently combed the girl's hair, removing any knots that might have formed. On their way to Tochigi Prefecture they had encountered dozens of curses, which they eliminated. "Those bastards dirty my jacket," Nobara complained, taking off her uniform garment, leaving her with her white shirt. "They did well," Naruto replied, throwing the comb at the girl. "Hikari must not know that you are allied with the school," the sorcerer mentioned, crossing his arms, looking at an abandoned parking lot in the distance. Hikari was in an empty parking lot as the boss of an underground fighting event. That was against Article 8 of the Rules of Sorcery. According to the information, there were also non-sorcerers among the audience. And some curse users would surely be among the participants. "Wait a moment, and how are you going to get in?" Nobara asked, confused. "There you appear, Nu-chan," Naruto mentioned, smiling mockingly. "I won't go in. Haka-chan will recognize me right away." The girl just gave a sigh, understanding where the plans were going. Naruto slightly slid his sunglasses to the tip of his nose, revealing those 2 sapphire eyes. "Congratulations, this is your first solo mission," he mentioned, giving a little applause. "In short, get in there, kick some butt. I will only go in case of emergency," she warned with a yawn. Nobara only gained a small twitch in her one eye. That bastard just didn't want to try too hard. Well, on the one hand he was right. He couldn't just show up at the front door calling for Hikari, the third-year student. How strong will he be? Nobara thought, getting up from the ground walking towards his partner. In Naruto's words, Hikari was strong. Although I doubt he's at your level, Nobara thought, positioning herself next to the blonde, looking at him out of the corner of her eye. Fush. The black sweatshirt slammed into the sorceress's face. "Here, use mine to be more comfortable. Besides, it's a little cold," Naruto mentioned, having given his garment to the girl, leaving him with a muscular one with the Usa-chan logo. "Damn idiot." Nobara's cheeks reddened again. That blonde idiot did nothing to help him forget those feelings he had for him. Don't couples lend each other clothes? The sorceress put on the sweatshirt, giving it a somewhat cute appearance. Her garment reached her knees in length as she was smaller in size compared to the boys. Nobara's hands didn't even stick out of his sleeves, he should have rolled them up. The sweatshirt smelled like candy. Hovering half of her face in it, Nobara hid a small smile. "Ready to buck everything?" Naruto asked. Make everything shit is my middle name, Nobara exclaimed with a determined look. Naruto turned to look at her in surprise. Really? No, idiot, it was just a reference. You ruined the epic moment. Oh, I'm sorry. The sorcerer duo was ready for the assault. Abandoned parking lot entrance D. Nobara approached at a slow pace towards the entrance guarded by two idiots, obviously from his perspective. He still didn't even fully understand the situation. On the one hand, they were in a gray area. Not enemies of the institute, but not allies when trying to free Goho Satoru from his seal. However, this Hikari guy would surely see them as enemies. Nobara's expression changed to one of disgust at the hiss. I'm sorry, beautiful, mentioned one of the hiders, the same one who had whistled at her. This is no place to wander around, although I wouldn't mind if you came to my apartment later. The two men approached the girl. One of them looked like a typical bodyguard, big, rough, and as robust as a closet. Someone seemed to have overdone the injections. The other was the typical short boss who hid behind the shawl. Dressed formally, giving an air of elegance, even though he was surely a poor starving man. The only one who can call me beautiful is my boyfriend, an ape on steroids. Nobara lied about her boyfriend. That comment didn't seem to please the big guy at all. Damn Naruto. How dare he send her, a lady, to a place full of idiots. You better be gone before I count to 3, doll. I don't hold back on beatings, even in front of women, the man muttered, cracking the bones in his fingers. You know, I am a faithful follower of gender equality. Stick all that shit where the sun doesn't shine, you ape on steroids, Nobara exclaimed. I want money. I came to win something in this fight club. Fush. Nobara didn't even blink when the man's right fist stopped inches from her face. The first rule of Fight Club is, don't talk about Fight Club, the big guy reported. Tell me who told you about this place. Then I'll go beat him up. The FFFF Nobara River. It seems like your boss has watched too many Brad Pitt movies. I even copied their rules. How pathetic. You, brat. What's going on? Can't I come in, or do I have to beat you up? Nobara asked, smiling. Before the man started a fight, the voice of the subject behind him stopped him. Ryota, enough is enough, he mentioned, raising his hand, showing the lit screen of a cell phone. The boss agrees that between. At that, Nobara's attention was directed towards the camera's position throughout the place. So they weren't bluffing, they were really watching everything. You'll start from the bottom, woman, the small man mentioned. You will have to win if you want to be seated. Nobara snorted and suddenly pushed the pair of men to the sides, leaving her a clear path. Move over, losers, I have asses to kick. Both subjects just stood watching the sorceress entering the facilities as if she were a model on a catwalk. From her first day at Jujutsu school until today, everyone else had excelled. But today, it was her turn. It was Kujisaki Nobara's time to shine. And what better way to do it than kicking ass. Chapter 22. Nobara Kujisaki, a first-year student at the Jujutsu school, was on an important mission. Finding Hikari and convincing him to fight alongside her in the games organized by Jetu, well, really by the person who controlled the former sorcerer's body. Since her partner was on an important mission, Uzumaki Naruto was. Inhale, asked a woman in front of the entire group. That's why he was now. Exhale, in a yoga class. I hope New-chan is doing well, Naruto thought, continuing with the class. Nobara sat up with an exhausting sigh. She hadn't even been in that place for an hour, and she already wanted to leave the way she came. Stupid Naruto. What was the boy doing while he waited for her to contact Hikari? Surely he would be lying on the ground watching the clouds while he was eating candy, or surely he would be doing something so ridiculous Uzumaki Naruto style. Nobara tried to stop a small smile at the thoughts of the blonde sorcerer, but she couldn't, she just smiled at the thought of him. She acted like a schoolgirl in love. Idiot, the girl whispered. Hey, don't tell me like that, said the man standing in front of her. I didn't do anything to you. I wasn't talking to you, moron, the sorceress refuted, crossing her arms. Nobara studied the room around her. She still didn't get used to having to turn her neck more than necessary to see the whole panorama. You know, problems with having a patch over one of your eyes. First rule of Fight Club, don't talk about Fight Club. The abandoned parking lot used as a coliseum and hideout at the same time. It seemed that this guy, Hikari, was a fan of the film directed by David Fincher and starring Brad Pitt and Edward Norton. It seemed that powerful sorcerers tended to be peculiar people. There are two rules, the man in front of Nobara mentioned. The sorceress gave a sigh. Now that she noticed it well, the subject seemed to imitate the hairstyle and style of clothing of one of the characters. Do not run away and do not use ritual techniques, the man reported. Oh? And why is that, idiot? Nobara asked through a complaint. She was a strong woman. She didn't care in the slightest if her opponent used her ritual technique against her. Most of the public are not sorcerers, so they can't see them. An invisible fight is not good for business, the subject explained. And about not running away? Asked the girl. Clients have to see you. You will understand when you see the battle arena. Everything revolves around them. Your pleasure is ours. Their distrust is ours. They are the most important thing in all of this. After all, it's a business, the man mentioned. Nu-chan rolled her gaze. And the boss? How is he? They say he is cute and strong, Nabara mentioned, trying to get information by acting tender and interested. It will be difficult, the man spoke, opening the door to the room. Come on, it's time for your fight. Nabara stood up, following the subject through the hallways. I've been here for weeks and I still haven't seen him, the man mentioned, counting a wad of money in his hands. It is difficult to know it, but not impossible. There are two types of fighting. The real ones, the one you will have today, and surely, the rest of the week. And the fixed ones. The boss fixes it, of course, he informed. The pair were now descending a staircase heading towards what appeared to be the parking area. In other words, I just have to kick ass and put on a good show, Nabara smiled eagerly for a fight. Parking lot. A huge hole was in the roof of the place, allowing spectators to see the fight from above. There were no obstacles in the arena where the match would take place, except for the enormous columns that kept the upper floor stable. An ordinary abandoned parking lot, but clean to avoid customer displeasure. I'm on top, and the fighters on the bottom, eh? Nabara mentioned, cracking the bones in his fingers. He seemed to be like an auction item under the gaze of dozens of people. Yes, and there is your opponent, the subject reported, stopping meters from the future spectacle. There are people from other countries. You may not understand your opponent, but it doesn't matter, we're only here for the punches, he laughed with crossed arms. Nabara smiled sideways as she continued her journey towards the center. Now yay, everything is ready for today's third battle, exclaimed the presenter of the meeting. Nabara gave a sigh of annoyance. Green old men. What did they want to entertain themselves with? After all, the third battle would be a meeting between two beautiful women. At the left side, making her presentation, Nabara Kujisaki. Several let out occasional whistles and shouts of support. Nabara thought. The right side coming on a streak of 4 fights and 4 wins, straight from South Korea. Mama Sion. The Korean woman wore a somewhat revealing wrestling outfit that consisted of a top and short jeans that wrapped around her worked legs. With her skin exposed, she could see, for the men's taste, somewhat marked biceps. With her stomach area exposed, she also showed slightly marked abs. Her short greenish hair and her red eyes matched the light makeup on her cheeks. That woman only gave off an aura of, you will be dominated and you will like it. Plop. The bubblegum balloon burst, showing the girl's features, also revealing a pretty face. Too bad about that patch you have. You would be popular with the boys, now you look pretty, Miss Sion mentioned. A vein of anger stood out in Nabara's temple. Chapter 23. 1 kilometer from Nu-chan. Naruto exhaled all the air in his lungs. The sorcerer, in a meditative pose, inhaled and exhaled again, feeling the air and everything around him. Animals, vegetation, and cursed energy. Insert Hans Zimmer tick-tock dot. Those words from Nu-chan. Unlike the territorial expansion of the other sorcerers, the territorial expansion of the Uzumaki clan occurs internally, however, you also possess Goho blood. Couldn't you have 2 territory expansions? A normal one like the rest of the sorcerer, and an internal one like the Uzumaki. Naruto smiled, feeling the breeze stir those blonde hair. Bingo. Fush. Naruto tossed a chocolate coin into the air. Nu-chan was right. Or rather, his theory might be true. Swish. Naruto cawed and devoured the candy in one bite. Well, more like he was right and at the same time he was wrong. Something like Schrodinger's cat. There was no data and history about someone from the Uzumaki clan capable of making 2 territorial expansions. No, there was no information about any sorcerer capable of such a feat. It should be impossible. But, years ago, when practicing his domain expansion using his uncle as a practice dummy, Satoru Goho was able to see something beyond with his eyes. Satoru Goho that day gave the same idea. What if you create 2 territorial expansions? Naruto smiled at his uncle's memories. If he dropped that question, it meant that his eyes saw that he was capable of creating something of such caliber. And you gave me the last piece of the puzzle, Sukuna, Naruto exclaimed, showing a smile. His fight in Shibuya against the King of Curses had given him the last cog in that mechanism. Being on the verge of death, he may have been able to better understand the cursed energy that surrounded him. He was able to take a step forward, understanding even more the power of him. Is this the same thing you can see, uncle? Naruto asked the nothingness itself. The sorcerer lay down on the ground surrounded by grass. His blue eyes were staring at the sky. The clouds, the infinite sky. So small and big at the same time. Not even the rays of the sun hitting his face made the boy squint. Thank you, Sukuna. I really thank you from the bottom of my heart, he revealed, extending his arm trying to touch that beautiful landscape. The bird was flying over the scene. From his fingertips, cursed energy could be seen, so tiny, almost transparent. These must be the atoms, Naruto whispered. His hand danced in the air. The boy's gaze was not focused, rather, he seemed to be observing beyond. Little clouds of possibilities. His smile increased in size. Einstein had not been able to connect the gravitational force with the other three, but if he could have seen the same thing that Uzumaki Naruto saw now, then it would be so obvious. Everything is connected. Absolutely everything. His pupils dilated. The pattern of a lotus flower appeared in the boy's bluish eyes. He could see it. The missing piece. The gravity of the place seemed to increase as the sorcerer's body seemed to sink into the earth. No, quite the opposite. You could feel yourself in the middle of the sky surrounded by clouds. Naruto's eyes went back and forth from side to side, watching everything. The flutter of a fly. The roar of a lion. The crypt of fire. The breaking of the waves. The symphony of the wind. The smoothness of erosion on the rocks. The roar of a volcano. Explosions inside the sun. The death of a star. The harmonious silence of space. Naruto closed his hand and opened it again, looking at it carefully. From the top of a tree, a leaf fell until it touched the ground. The lotus flower pattern in the boy's eyes began to change, began to evolve. And only a few words could come out of his mouth in the form of a soft whisper. Chapter 24. Lariat. Nobara felt her world turn upside down when Mision's attack hit her. The screams from the public intensified. The Korean woman jumped on the Japanese woman, applying a hold, suffocating her prey. Fush. Nobara headbutted back, hitting Mission in the face, loosening her grip. The sorceress turned around, kicking her rival's abdomen, making her retreat, becoming free again. Both girls stood up from the ground, instantly raising their guard. The pair began to walk in circles, watching each other attentively under the shouts of the crowd. "You're not doing bad at all, crazy eye," Mission mentioned, popping a vein on Nu-chan's forehead at the nickname. "Who taught you to fight?" she asked, chewing the gum in her mouth. The pair continued walking in a circle, looking at each other attentively. "My dear senpai," Nobara answered, stopping. The sorceress put her left leg forward, slightly bending her knee. Her guard lifted slightly from her body as she smiled. The girl had adopted a kickboxing stance. "Oh," Mission whispered, earning a smile on his features. "Is this the boy you like?" she asked, almost knowing the answer. She had seen how the girl's gaze had gained a slight shine when mentioning her senpai, even the tone of her voice had sounded proud when mentioning the boy. A slight blush graced Nobara's face. "You don't care, gorilla," the sorceress responded. "Is he handsome?" "Meter 90 feet, blonde, blue eyes, and a body sculpted by the Greek gods," Nobara responded automatically. Mission stopped, adopting her fighting stance. "You have a photo?" "He sounds like the man of my dreams," Mission said, smiling. "Decided, I will make him part of my harem." Nobara's look changed completely. "Touch it and I'll knock out all your teeth," the sorceress threatened. Fush. Mission attacked with another lariat that was dodged by his opponent while ducking. The Korean jumped back, avoiding a roundhouse kick from the sorceress. Fush. They both landed a punch at the same time on their opponent's face. Nobara launched a kick at her face and was easily stopped. "You sorcerers trust your rituals too much," Mission said. "And they don't train their body enough." The Korean jumped, trapping Nobara's face between her thighs. Mission spun, using the sorceress's body as an anchor, and slammed the girl into the ground. Mission ran to a column and used it as a support to jump and plummet in wrestling style. Nobara rolled on the ground, avoiding the attack. Fush. The Korean woman didn't give her a chance to breathe for even a second. Mission was already in front of Nobara. Plop. The girl exploded the bubble of gum in her mouth at the same time that she pushed herself up, holding the sorceress by the shoulders. Fush. Mission descended, landing a knee on Nobara's back, leaving her kneeling on the ground holding the affected area. "Na Mission, na Mission, na Mission." The public supported only one girl. The aforementioned raised her arms victoriously, enjoying the praise. "That's all." Mission turned around, watching her opponent get up smoothly. Whoops. Nobara spit blood from her split lower lip onto the ground. Naruto hit harder than this gorilla. This week that the pair spent searching for Hikari, or whatever that idiot's name was, Naruto was training her in her free time. "Do you want to do it? It will be fun, Nu-chan. I want to see if you can do it. Territorial extension, it will be interesting to see if you can." "Are you sure you want to continue?" Mission asked, crossing her arms. "Although I can't use cursed energy," Nobara thought, remembering the rules of the fight. In response to the question asked by the Korean, Nobara raised her right hand, extending her middle finger. "Well, you wanted it." Mission darted towards Nobara, who greeted her with a smile. The sorceress brought her right hand behind her to her waist, pulling out the hammer from her. "Wait," Mission exclaimed, stopping suddenly. "You can't use weapons." The only rule was not to use cursed energy. Nobara attacked forcefully, aiming for her opponent's head. Mission raised her guard and closed her eyelids with impetus, waiting for the impact. "I was joking," Nobara said, stopping. Fush. An uppercut shook Mission's jaw, breaking her guard. Nobara landed a knee to her stomach, making her kneel. "What if I want to continue?" the sorceress muttered, preparing to punch. "Come on, I just wanted to say it for once." Living with Naruto made certain of the boy's attitudes rub off on him. Such as eating sweets, making sarcastic comments, and saying one-liners. She would take Naruto's words just this once. Fool, both in heaven and on earth. Fush. The bar's fist traveled at full speed, hitting Miss Yeon's face squarely. The gravity, momentum and strength of the sorceress caused the head of her opponent to travel until it collided with the ground, accompanied by a sound that echoed through the place. The bara slowly removed her fist from Miss Yeon's face, revealing an unconscious look. I am the only one worthy of honor. The bara raised her fist with blood pointing towards the sky as the crowd roared at the result. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown in left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.